Good morning. My name is Joel Gober, and I'm going to speak on a pet peeve of mine that I think we can all relate to, and that's laziness in the workplace. Lazy employees are just toxic to an organization. They can lower morale, and they can ultimately kill a business. Lazy employees, like I said, they're just toxic. They do just enough to get by. They take shortcuts. They work harder to get out of work than they do actually do the work given to them. Uh, they always have terrible and poor customer service. They do just enough to be just above unacceptable limit. And they're like what I like to call clock watchers. They show up at the last minute, just before they're going to be late, and when it's time to go home, they leave and they don't stay a minute later. Uh, Lazy employees can kill employee morale. The good employees end up worrying about the lazy employees rather than their own work. So that takes their attention off of their own work. Good employees end up wasting good, useful energy and time worried about something that's outside of their own control, which causes administrators to be upset with the good employees because they're wasting time worried about stuff that they can't control. And the good employees can fall into the trap. The bad employees can rub off on them and kind of get that mindset of, well, if they can do it, why can't I? And then the good employees end up gossiping or complaining about the bad employees, which makes it back to the bad employees, which ends up causing employee conflict, which is never good in the workplace. And then the good employees end up having an increased workload. The good employees are asked to pick up the slack from the bad employees, and it's almost like a reward for being a good employee. You get rewarded by doing the work of the bad employees because they're not doing their jobs, which ultimately causes burnout, and the burnout causes frustration in the good employees. It lowers morale, and then ultimately it creates another toxic employee, which ultimately just snowballs down to the point to where the organization fails. So couple of good points to remember. Don't get caught up in the whole fairness thing. Don't get caught up into, well, it's not fair that he can't do it and I have to, this and that. It's not worth it. Think about what kind of employee you want to be. If you want to be the good employee, focus on being the good employee. Don't focus so much on being having to deal with the bad employee, as hard as that is for all of us to do. Don't fall into the trap. Of course, you don't want to fall into the trap of being the lazy employee, and then take that opportunity to be the leader. As frustrating as it is to have to deal with the lazy employees in the workplace, many times outside of our control, all we can do is we can focus on the positives. So what I can say is keep your head up and don't become that lazy, toxic employee, because trust me, we all don't like that guy.